الرحيم نحمده ونصلي على رسوله الكريم. Amma ba'ad, we express our praise and gratitude to Allah Ta'ala. We seek blessings upon the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Okay, to recap some of the material that we covered last time, we finally reached Ayat al-Kursi. Ayat al-Kursi, which is the most majestic of all the ayat of the Quran. This is, over and over again, regarded as not only the most important or the most majestic ayat of Al-Baqarah, but the most majestic ayah of the entire Quran itself. And what is taken then from that understanding, that the central goal that we have through the Quran is, number one, to get to know who is Allah Ta'ala. That's the central goal. And then, from there, who is Allah Ta'ala to us? And then from there, who are we to Allah Ta'ala? So who is Allah Ta'ala? Who is Allah Ta'ala to us? And who are we to Allah Ta'ala? That essentially is the goal of our approach to the Quran. Raise your hand. Okay. There are many narrations about the benefits of Ayat al-Kursi. The key one that I'll share again is that anyone who recites Ayat al-Kursi after each salah, after each fard salah, you are protected until the next salah. Meaning what? If you die, there is nothing between you and paradise. That could be something. And someone does this and says, do they have a full head of hair or no hair? No. Don't know.
Sometimes I don't do it and then I get discouraged.
Are you aware of this practice? No? Okay. Yeah. It's beyond me. Sorry? Okay. Yeah. I'm not aware of a benefit of doing it. It could be something there. I mean, there are a lot of practices that we would essentially categorize as just respect or adab in all of our different cultures. So whether it's bad or not, I don't see anything wrong with it. But as far as something required, I don't see a benefit for doing it. Another benefit of reciting Ayat al-Kursi after every prayer is that that disaster will be averted from you. Okay. Meaning that commonly when Allah Ta'ala is testing us, He will test us either with big or small, and so big tests will be averted from us, is another teaching of the benefits of reciting Ayat al-Kursi after every salah. I mean, the most common things that are recited after every salah, one is Ayat al-Kursi, another one is to say Astaghfirullah 3 times. Okay. A benefit of saying Astaghfirullah repeatedly, whether after Salah or in general, is that we're taught that if you keep saying Astaghfirullah, 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 again, if you're in a position where you're stuck, where you have no way out, Allah Ta'ala will give you a way out from where you weren't expecting. Another dua that is good to recite after every prayer is Allahumma anta salam wa minka salam tabarakta ya dhal jalali wal ikram, which most of us are probably familiar with. Allahumma anta salam. Oh Allah. When we're saying Allahumma, what does it mean? I think we've talked about this before. When we say Allahumma, it means that you're calling Allah by all of His names. That's what Allahumma means. Yeah. Allahumma anta salam. So Allah, you are salam. You are peace. Allahumma anta salam wa minka salam. So from you is peace. Allahumma anta salam wa minka salam. Tabarakta ya dhal jalali wal ikram. And so you are the one who blessed, and you are the one who is the owner of majesty and the one who gives nobility. So this is Allahumma anta salam, you are the peace, wa minka salam, from you is peace. Tabarakta ya dhal jalali wal ikram. And you are the one who blesses, or you are the one who blessed, the one who holds majesty, and the one who gives nobility. This is another very good dua to recite after every single salah. This is all coming from hadith. Yeah. These are all hadith that I read not too long ago. Yeah, to verify. Yeah. I can find the exact narrations, but this is common material. Yeah. Now, summing up, what did Ayatul Kursi tell us about Allah Ta'ala? Okay, so number one, there is no ilah but Him, which is pretty straightforward for us. Why is this important? If you open up other sacred texts, you'd be surprised that even, for example, the Bible, it's very hard to find the Trinity if you read through the Bible, right? The Trinity is a central teaching of Christianity, but if you read through the whole Bible, it's hard to find the Trinity anywhere. And then from there, what does it say? He is the alive, the eternal, neither slumber nor sleep overtakes Him. What is the lesson here? That Allah Ta'ala is not just still. He is actively involved in how the world works. The next section, unto Him belongs whatever is in the heavens and whatever is in the earth. And who is it that intercedes except by His permission? So what is the next lesson here? That Allah Ta'ala owns everything. He owns all the universe. He also owns all power. Okay. And then from there, He knows that which is in front of them and that which is behind them, while they encompass nothing of His knowledge except for what He shares. So what's the next point? The next point is that Allah Ta'ala knows all. Okay. And you and I already know this. We already understand this. And then His throne includes the heavens and the earth, and He is never weary of preserving them. Meaning what? That He has the full majesty of everything. So in Christianity and in Islam, there's a term, but it's used for two different sources, that Allah Ta'ala is the King of Kings. Right? In Christianity, they're referring to Isa alayhi salam. When we say Malikul Mulk, or the King of Kingdoms, we are speaking about Allah Ta'ala. And He is Al-Ali, the Most High, and the Tremendous. So what are we saying here? How are we describing Allah Ta'ala? There's no ilah but Him. He is active without ever getting tired. He owns all the worlds, or He controls all the world and owns all the power. And then He has all knowledge, and then He is the most majestic. Okay. So this is Allah Ta'ala. From there we spoke about this ayah, la ikraha fid deen. There is no compulsion in religion. Ikrah is an interesting word. The word makruh comes from the same word. So makruh means what? Like when we speak of Islamic law, there's haram. We often like to call everything haram, but makruh means something that's disliked. Okay. So, I'm sorry? I can't call it forbidden. Haram would be forbidden. Makruh would be something that's very, very severely disliked. Yeah. Now, this is also an important point because when we say something's makruh, it doesn't mean it's suddenly okay, right? That the same word is used for backbiting. It says that you should hate backbiting the way you would hate to eat the flesh of your brother, right? And the word kareha is also there too. Okay. So what are we saying? When there's no compulsion in religion, we're saying you cannot force someone against their will in deen, okay, against their dislike. So then I raised the question, well, what can you force someone to do? And generally, the opinion among the scholars is that you can force people to pay their zakah. If someone's Muslim, if it's an Islamic government, you can force people to pay zakat, and you can also force people to pray. Good. Yeah, where's this voice coming from? I'm sorry? How do you force people to fast? Mm-hmm. But meaning, I don't see how a government can force someone to fast. You can force someone to eat, but unless I don't know how you would. Yeah, that's a possibility if you were to close all the business and such. But generally speaking, what there seems to be consensus is that you can absolutely force people to pay zakat, right? The language in Surah At-Tawbah is to take it from people. And then you can also force people to pray. Okay. Now keep in mind, that's the bare minimum situation. If you're in an environment where people are being forced to pray, where people are being forced to pay zakat, there's not going to be very much iman there, right? The goal is that taqwa comes before fatwa. Meaning what? That is my taqwa that is compelling me to act. My taqwa is compelling me to serve Allah Ta'ala, not fatwa. Fatwa is basically saying, okay, here you have to do this. Okay. When it's coming from inside that's obviously going to be much stronger. So if a society has to force me to pray, then you can be sure there's not much left. There's not much left of Iman in that society. Yes, ma'am? But this is the point that we're making, that there's no compulsion in terms of forcing someone to become Muslim. But if they are Muslim, then they're also embracing some other obligations too. Right? Just like in our society. There's nothing that can force me to become an American citizen. But if I choose to be an American citizen, then I have some obligations that I've also signed on to. Right? That's how it works. Yeah. And so again, the point being that if a society has to force me to behave in certain ways, then already that's a problem. So essentially what we're saying is the government should be the last resort. That it should start with the heart. Then from there we said that the right direction, let me find an easier translation. This is all Old English. Okay. So the right direction is clear from the wrong, and whoever rejects Taghut and believes in Allah has a firm grasp on the strongest ring that never breaks. That's also interesting language. Okay, how did we last time? Taghut comes from the word Tagha, which means, or Tohyan, which means what? Rebellion, or to cross boundaries. Okay. So whoever rejects violating the limits of Allah Ta'ala, meaning whoever tries to stay within the limits of Allah Ta'ala and believes in Allah Ta'ala has a firm grasp. Good. Now, a firm grasp that never breaks. What does this mean? It means that if I turn to Allah Ta'ala will never let me go. Although I might slip and turn away, a'udhu billah, from Allah Ta'ala. Right? If I turn to Allah Ta'ala, that's rock solid. It is stronger than rock solid. But I might, a'udhu billah, break off my grasp. So.
And then, sin is a burden on the soul. It's his person, he's not going to be hit. If you keep on doing wrong things, his consciousness, that is a God's given gift. So if he messes up with that, he's not going to be happy. Somehow he might outgrow it, might be happy. But so like Raha 15, you cannot force somebody, but somebody who would be an example in the society. You know, he looks at that person. This is the person's standard of behavior, ethical behavior, or whatever. Mm-hmm. And so society finds that somebody would learn from the environmental thing, and so sin will become a burden on the soul.
I mean, that's all true, but that is not something to rely upon, right? That I commit a sin, you commit a sin, it will affect us, right? But suppose you have someone who's deep in sin, I think they can reach a point where they might find pleasure in doing sin, and they might find suffering in doing good, right?
I mean, they find pleasure in superficial way.
Sure. Sure. Mm-hmm.
But inside, he's a human being.
We would hope.
Some of these soldiers that come around.
Sure.
And even they were ordered, and they can't live with themselves.
Sure.
Suicidal and stuff like that.
Sure. Yeah.
I think even these children now, the American children, if you kill a fly, Bob, he has a right to live.
Sure. Yeah.
So the human consciousness has shifted a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
You know, where you cannot kill. My son, when he was in Pakistan, my father killed the chicken, slaughtered the chicken. He says, "Mom, can you tell your father?" I said, "Where do you eat the chicken?" He says, "It comes from Dublin."
Yeah, well, okay. Yeah. Nevertheless, the point being that, if it's happening by force, it's not as strong as it is if it's coming from the person. Okay. From there, Allah is the protecting friend of those who believe. Again, continuing this point that if you turn to Allah Ta'ala, if you stay within the limits of Allah Ta'ala, then what are you getting in return? Allah Ta'ala becomes your wali. Allahu waliyul ladhina amanu. And then He takes us out of darkness into light. And for those who reject, their friends are Taghut, the people who rebel. And they bring people from light into darkness. These are the people of the fire. So, What else is it saying? That my beliefs will also indicate who my relations are, right? That my beliefs, if I'm seeking to come closer to Allah Ta'ala, then the result of that is that I will also keep myself out of the company of those who are turning me away from Allah Ta'ala, right? That your belief has impact on your social relations. Cool. Now, having said all that, a new topic begins. This is where we start.
Until they change their psychology, they shift their psychology, they're going to be in this hellish feeling.
Sure.
This is the thing that is, they'll never be happy. They're going to live in this internal conflict and sin, and it's going to be burden on them. They would never get a time for creativity, for free thinking.
Yeah, sure.
They're just messed up in the whole process.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that would be definitely true for a lot of people. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay.
Can we save all the questions at the end?
Okay, we can try. All right. It'll be a very short class then, inshallah.
We try to listen because I missed two.
Okay.
And it's so distraction because we don't have the...
Yeah, right, yeah.
Our voice doesn't go there.
Okay. What if we make Shahrukh walk around with the microphone? Can we do that?
So he was thinking of getting another microphone.
Yeah, I'm teasing. Okay, let's try to do this. But I keep asking questions, but here's what I'll do. I'll try to repeat what people are saying. Let's do that.
Okay, that way it will go.
Okay,
Yeah,
inshallah.
that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's good to have discussion. I'm just saying for the people.
Yeah, sure.
I try to go and, watch the ones I miss.
Okay. So for the people who are online right now, we're discussing how to make sure you can hear what is being discussed. I'll try to repeat at least the key points of what everyone's saying. Yeah.
Because I was trying to watch and
It was that bad. Okay. Yeah, maybe we'll just have to start all over from the beginning of Al-Baqarah and then just re-record everything.
You won't remember it.
Okay. The next section, starting from Ayah 258, is having spoken about Allah Ta'ala as being so majestic. The next section is essentially speaking about Allah Ta'ala as being in control of everything, starting with life and death. Alam tara ila alladhina hajja Ibrahima fi rabbihi. So do you know or have you seen the one who was arguing with Ibrahim alayhi salam about his Rabb? Why? An atahu Allah al-mulk. Good. Because Allah Ta'ala had given him kingship. So the first point to think about before we even finish the ayah is here you have a king in conversation with Ibrahim alayhi salam. Okay. Now, he is arguing with a prophet. Good. Not just any prophet, he's arguing with Prophet Ibrahim alayhi salam. And what is the lesson here? Allah Ta'ala gave him so much wealth, so much power, that what is the result? What has happened? He became arrogant. Arrogant that he's even arguing with Ibrahim alayhi salam. Okay. Now, as far as who these kings are, some backstory about Ibrahim alayhi salam. There's a number of beliefs about what his story is. That Ibrahim alayhi salam, we know the story of when he was young. He was in the town where the people were worshiping the idols, and then when the people went for their celebration, he destroys all the idols and then leaves the hammer with the big idol. We know that story. But what else has happened? We're also taught that Ibrahim alayhi salam traveled all over the world. Okay. That he traveled perhaps as far east as the subcontinent, as far east maybe as Central Asia, as far east maybe even as China. Okay. Doing da'wah everywhere he went. Okay. This is also a common belief about Isa alayhi salam, that Isa alayhi salam also traveled all over. Even in Christianity, Isa alayhi salam is only alive for 33 years. We know about his birth, we know about his last 3 years, but we don't know about anything in between. Even in Christian belief, he's traveled everywhere, even as far as England. Allah knows best. Camel, how did they travel? All the slow ways, camel, boat. Yeah. I'm sorry? Horses, foot, all those things. Even if you think about it, like how do they usually travel when they're walking? They have a big stick. What's the point of having a stick? Well, it's for safety, definitely, but you can also walk farther. How far can you walk without getting tired just with shoes? Maybe a couple miles, maybe even 15, 20 miles. That would be pretty far. If you walk with a stick, you can walk as much as 100 miles. Yeah. Yeah. I haven't tried this, but this is what I'm told. Yeah. Yeah. I'm sorry? Yeah. Yeah. So they had sandals back then, you know. So, do you know about the one who argued with Ibrahim about his Rabb, his Lord, because Allah had given him kingship? And then what did Ibrahim alayhi salam say? My Lord is one who gives life and death. Okay. إِذْ قَالَ إِبْرَاهِيمُ رَبِّيَ الَّذِي يُحْيِي وَيُمِيتُ. Okay, so he gives life and death. Allah, meaning the king, then said, أَنَا أُحْيِي وَأُمِيتُ. So what is the king saying? I can do this too. Okay. What did Ibrahim alayhi salam say? فَإِنَّ اللَّهَ يَأْتِي بِالشَّمْسِ مِنَ الْمَشْرِقِ. So Allah Ta'ala, He brings the sun from the mashriq, from the east. So therefore, فَأْتِي بِهَا مِنَ الْمَغْرِبِ. Okay. So therefore, you should bring it out from the west. Okay. And then the king had no response. فَبُهِتَ الَّذِي كَفَرَ وَاللَّهُ لَا يَهْدِي الْقَوْمَ الظَّالِمِينَ. Now, if you really think about this is not a very strong argument. Okay. That Ibrahim alayhi salam says, my Allah can bring the sun from the east, you bring the sun up from the west. Okay. On the surface, it's not a very, very strong argument. Okay, you do this. And how is the king baffled? What's the actual argument that Ibrahim alayhi salam is making? He's saying, why should I listen to you? If you're so powerful, move the sun. That's what he's really saying here. Okay. That if you are so powerful, you're saying you control who has life, who has death. Okay. Then also you should make the sun move. Okay. It would be like saying, okay, make it rain right now. Okay. This is also the argument that sometimes non-believers will give to believers, saying, okay, if you believe in God, pray for rain. Make it happen right now. This is the argument that Ibrahim alayhi salam is given to the king. Okay. That I have no need to listen to you because you are not as powerful as you think. That's what he's actually saying here. Then we have another case. This is a different prophet. But out of adab for the prophet, his name is not mentioned. This is not Prophet Muhammad, this is another prophet. Okay. He is passing by a town, we would call this a ghost town, right? The town is empty. And he says, how shall Allah revive this after it is dead? And so what happens? Allah Ta'ala made him die for 100 years. And then he raised him up. And then Allah Ta'ala speaking to him says, how long have you been asleep, or how long have you been dead? And he says, just a day or so. Okay. And then Allah Ta'ala tells him, no, you have been dead for 100 years. Now, look at your food and your drink. Not only did Allah Ta'ala put him in death for 100 years, He also preserved his food the whole time. Again, why? This is easy for Allah Ta'ala. Okay. But look at your donkey. What was the case of his donkey? His donkey was all bones. It was a skeleton. Okay. This could not happen overnight. Okay. So then, what happens? He said, now we are making this a sign for the people. Look at his bones, how we raise them, and then dress them with flesh. Allah Ta'ala, right in front of him, brings him completely back to life. Okay. Is there something like this for you and I? Because I don't think any of us have seen anything like this happen. What would be an example like this for you and I? Sorry? Yeah, perhaps. If someone's in a coma, does that mean then that we should, if the doctors say it's a vegetative state, that we should not do anything? Because they might come back to life? What do you think? Okay, so a coma would be almost this inanimate state, and then they might come back to life. And so I'm just asking a side question. This is a common question that I get. In terms of end-of-life decisions that all of us have to make at some point. If you have someone who is in a completely vegetative state, and all the physicians say there's no hope. Do we have permission to pull the plug? We might have talked about this not too long ago.
Pulling the plug means that we were on a ventilator.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
That's where helping them
Okay.
So,
What would you say?
you are assisting them. So pulling the plug is giving extra breaths that he cannot breathe.
Okay.
So you are playing somehow. You are intervening.
Okay, so you're saying it should be fine to pull the plug.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
If there is no brain activity, then we do it.
If there's no brain activity.
There, then we don't do it.
Okay. Okay. Any other thoughts? Now this is the common fiqhi opinion. The common fiqhi opinion is essentially if the physicians say that there's no hope, right, then you can pull the plug. Some say that if you want, you can use up your insurance as far as it goes to see if that changes anything. Yeah. But the basic point being that the common fiqhi opinion is that if the physicians say that there's no hope, then
Sometimes, very rare,
it could happen.
happens.
Once in a while, we hear the stories of someone who's been in this state for a long, long time, and they come back. It's possible. But the point being that if Allah wills, then they will stay alive. Right? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Anyways, this is a side point. So a coma might be something like this. Another way to think about this is just something as simple as a seed. Okay. We don't think about this too much because it's so common. Is a seed alive or dead? It's dead, isn't it? Yeah.
As long as it's growing, it is alive.
Then when it starts growing, then it's alive again, right? But the seed on its own, if it's just sitting in a little packet, there's no life in the seed. When you put it in the soil and then put water in it, then it comes to life. The point being that's an example for us to see on a regular basis, that Allah Ta'ala is bringing life from death.
For 30 years, they're there in the ground. After 30 years, they sprout. So
Could be,
fish
could be longer.
suspended animation for 2 years. If there's no drought, those fish are just as eyes open.
So the point being that there might be some seeds that are dormant for a long, long time. Okay. Sure. So this is a worm that'll be staying frozen for who knows how long, and then it comes back to life very quickly. Okay. Awesome. Okay. Interesting. So this is also a story about a worm that comes right back to life. Okay. Then we have ayah 260. First we spoke about a king. Then we spoke about a prophet. Now we're speaking about Ibrahim alayhi salam. Again, we're speaking about Ibrahim alayhi salam. This is an ayah that we looked at a long, long time ago. وَإِذْ قَالَ إِبْرَاهِيمُ رَبِّي أَرِنِي كَيْفَ تُحْيِي الْمَوْتَى. So, my Rabb, show me how you bring life from the dead. This is Ibrahim alayhi salam who is asking Allah Ta'ala for this. Allah Ta'ala asks him. Okay, remember, Ibrahim alayhi salam is already having a conversation with Allah Ta'ala. He says, do you not believe? Okay. Obviously he believes. He's having a conversation with Allah Ta'ala. Okay. And he's asking Allah Ta'ala, can you show me how you give life to the dead? And he says, why? لِيَطْمَئِنَّ الْقَلْبِ. To give me satisfaction, tranquility in my heart. Okay. Again, you would think that if you can talk to Allah Ta'ala two ways, and this is not going to be something that you need, but this is human nature. Okay. See the point that I'm making? He's already at a level where he's speaking to Allah Ta'ala back and forth. And still he needs to see how does Allah Ta'ala give life to the dead.
Open the door to other human beings. And if they are pure and clear, they can, it shows like it opens the door for other human beings. Sometimes they say, I talk to God, and maybe you're crazy. But if God talked to you, then it's okay.
So the question is this open the door for other people to speak to Allah Ta'ala?
This friendship that is there on
Well,
human level, it's just, are we very far behind psychologically? Because you can apply to that in a F-16 somewhere, either in the love of people, the service of people,
Sure, yeah.
you could reach to God through your spirit.
So I would say the particular type of communication that we call wahi, that's done. That's sealed off.
But through sleep, prophet,
We are definitely taught that there's levels of nubuwah, the lowest level being dreams, and that a common person can have if Allah wills. Right. One of the signs that we're coming near the end of times is that many, many people will have true dreams. Right. But has anyone, you don't have to share the details, has anyone here had true dreams? Yeah, you have? Yeah. I know multiple people who've had true dreams, meaning they see something in a dream, they don't think about it, and then one day later, 2 years later, the actual thing happens. Right?
It happens with everybody. Just some
Maybe.
people don't pay attention.
Could be. It could be. Allah knows best.
Because I think every human being has a right to a God. Because He created them, they cannot turn to anybody else. So if He's the only source, I'm sure He'd be close to every human being. So
Definitely. But in terms of how He communicates, that's up to Allah Ta'ala. I would say that a common human being doesn't have the right automatically that Allah Ta'ala will speak to them if they already have Quran, right? But everyone has the right of guidance if they seek it, right? Okay, so what was the instruction that Ibrahim alayhi salam is given? Okay. Even this translation doesn't quite make the point. What was his instruction? Take 4 birds, mash them up, and then on these 4 hills that are around him, put pieces of the 4 birds. Okay. And then what happens when he calls them? They're all going to come back to life fully and come to him. Okay, so this is what Ibrahim alayhi salam needed to satisfy his heart. Again, he's already at the level where he's speaking to Allah Ta'ala. So what would I need that is suppose I need to satisfy my heart about Allah Ta'ala? What's my prescription? Does anybody remember? So my prescription is all the way back in Ayah 23. And all of you know this. That was his prescription, my prescription. This is for if you have doubt. Okay. If you have doubt about what we have revealed to our servants, so if you have doubt about Allah, if you have doubt about the Prophet, peace be upon him, if you have doubt about the Quran, فَأْتُوا بِسُورَةٍ مِّن مِثْلِهِ. So then bring a surah that can compete either, according to some readings, with the Quran or just with Al-Baqarah. Now, to remake this point, we often speak of this ayah as a challenge to the whole world. In this context, this is not a challenge, this is a prescription. Just like Ibrahim alayhi salam had a prescription. He needed his heart to be satisfied, so Allah Ta'ala told him, okay, then you have to do this. And for me, if I need my heart to be satisfied about Allah Ta'ala, about the Prophet, peace be upon him, about the Quran, then I have to go and see if I can find another surah. Meaning, write something or read something, some other book, that can compete against the Quran or compete against Al-Baqarah. Even only Al-Baqarah, and I have to bring witnesses who will agree that, yeah, I found something. Okay. Why? Why do I have to do this? Because if I don't, then my doubt will remain. And way back then when we covered these ayahs, I said that the analogy of doubt is like you have a beautiful palace, but in one pipe, you have a leaky pipe, and it just drips slowly. That if I have doubt, and I decide, okay, well, hopefully the problem will go away. Okay, what's going to happen? It's going to keep dripping, dripping, dripping. It's going to go through all the wood, all the stone, all the grout, and eventually, in a matter of time, it's going to collapse my whole house.
What is the point of origination of humanity when Allah is consulting with the devil and the angel?
I don't see that.
And he's right there. I'm sure the devil is there. And he's asking to worship, give a respect to Adam. And the devil says, well, he's made of
Let's come back to this point because I don't see the connection.
What I'm saying is for a human being that maybe alasta bi rabbikum, they have seen God already.
Okay.
And the picture is on human soul. He cannot run away from this thing.
Sure.
Now, to see that materialize God, the only thing is you could address to your spirit or something, and that's a dilemma for every human being. Where should our mind be with time of prayer? Should we listen to our spirit? Should we focus on our spirit? Should we look at consciousness? When we pray, the mind is going, flying all over the places, and to have a focal point. Is that a big, big mystery?
Okay, let's come back to this point in a bit, inshallah. Okay. So from the power of Allah Ta'ala to give life from death, the conversation then shifts to giving, to sadaqah. How is sadaqah related to giving life from death? How is sadaqah, how would it make sense that Allah Ta'ala is speaking about giving donations, giving wealth, after just speaking about His ability to give life from death? What's the relationship here? So think of sadaqah itself as a form of giving life to those who need it. Right. I'm sorry?
It's for the needy.
Yeah. That what happens if you don't give it to the needy? Then the risk of death or something. Good. So the point being here that sadaqah, we are taught, and in fact the actual ayah is going to come here a little bit later on, is a way of growing your community, growing your society, to bring life.
Make it feel good.
I mean, it also makes feel good, but we're saying something even deeper than all of that.
You have to make other people happy. I mean, if you have to be happy, you have to make other people
Sure. Yeah, this is definitely true too. So the ayah is مثل الذين ينفقون أموالهم في سبيل الله كمثل. This is the ayah that we've all heard thousands of times at every single fundraiser. Right? The example, the likeness of those who give in the way of Allah is like the likeness of a grain that produces 7 ears, and each ear has 100 grains, and Allah multiplies for whomever He wills. So all of you have heard this, mashallah, many times, to the point that we all should at least have this memorized in English. The basic point being that this is the consequence of giving fi sabilillah. Okay. That you are causing growth upon growth upon growth upon growth. This is not just in my akhirah, right? In my akhirah, what am I taught? That if I give in the way of Allah, He will multiply the reward 10 to 700 times, right? That I don't give even half a date, except that Allah Ta'ala automatically gives me something as big as Mount Uhud. You know? The point is that this is also understood as benefit in dunya. That if you make it your practice to give and give and give, what is the result? That your own wealth will increase. That your own wealth will increase multiple levels. And I can give you multiple examples of my own experiences like this. I had one case now it's been more than a year. I had a student who I knew pretty well. Her father died, and she was one of, I think, 7 children, maybe 8 children. And so her mother was struggling to make ends meet. And she's a really good girl, really good integrity. So when she's contacting me, she's already contacting me in a very, very humble, very shy way. She's saying, "Do you know of anybody who can help us?" And so she's also, I'm sure, embarrassed to ask. And so then I decided, okay, if I give her this amount of money, let me count how many lunches I have to skip, so that it'll help her family. So then I sent her a check. And then immediately, when I say immediately, I say within a few days. Right after that, I got a call from someone else saying, okay, we have this sudden job opening, can you do this job? Right? And it happened to fit perfectly in my schedule. And then from there, same place, there was a class that was supposed to cancel because of lack of enrollment, but for some reason there was a computer glitch. The class didn't cancel, so then they asked me, can you do this class also? And the end result, wallahi, this is true, is that the amount of money that I gave to her, how much income I got from teaching the classes was literally exactly 10 times of what I got from what I gave to her. I can give you a million examples like this, well, not a million, but many, many examples like this from my own life over and over and over again. Another time, there was an organization that needed a donation, like they really, really needed help immediately. And so then I thought, okay, at this moment it's going to be a big struggle for me. I will give them a check. And on my way home, this was out of town, on my way home, I got a call from my boss saying, okay, we just got this grant, to help you do some research. And again, it was exactly 10 times the amount of the check that I gave, right? And so I'm saying, from my own experience, I can give you example after example after example, that how you hear in every fundraiser that when you are giving in the way of Allah, it does not decrease your wealth. I'm saying you will see the math happen, right? How it lands in your lap is up to Allah Ta'ala. Right. Another time where I gave some money, and then I got a letter, one of those letters from the Department of Treasury saying, here's a check that looks like it was supposed to have been sent to you, but you never received. Right. Just out of nowhere. And I'm saying all of us, if we give fi sabilillah, you will see this happening. Right. Inshallah. And I was not asked by Auntie to make an announcement for IQRA, but, yeah.
My sadaqah, I will give it to you, so better give it from your hand.
Okay, inshallah, you go.
No, it does happen.
Alhamdulillah. So what is the first lesson to take regarding giving is that this passage is coming right after Allah Ta'ala is speaking about Himself giving life, that He gives us through our process of giving. Okay? Keep in mind, on top of this, inshallah, for every time we give, then there's the reward waiting in Akhirah. Okay? The second lesson comes in Ayah 262, which is now getting to the ethics, the behavior of giving. Okay? الَّذِينَ يُنْفِقُونَ عَنْ أَمْوَالَهُمْ فِي سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ ثُمَّ لَا يُتْبِعُونَ مَا أَنْفَقُوا مِنَّا. Okay, so those who spend their wealth in the way of Allah, then they don't use it to boast. وَلَا أَذَى لَهُمْ أَجْرُهُمْ عِنْدَ رَبِّهِمْ. They don't boast and they don't cause hurt. Okay. So here's a common mistake that happens. You help someone and then you keep reminding them. Okay. That when you're helping someone, then it becomes almost like what we'd call a power dynamic. You are in a position of superiority that you can't do. Okay. What is the attitude I should take when I'm giving? Allah Ta'ala has just given me an opportunity to give. Okay. This is the case of the Prophet, peace upon him, right? Anytime someone came to him, he would not say no if he had something to give. Okay. And so the point is that anytime someone is coming to you, Allah Ta'ala has just put an opportunity, a window of opportunity right in front of you, okay, to give. And the way to ruin it is if you start even feeling about yourself, there's something great about me. Okay? And to ruin it further is to use it against them, use it against the person who you're giving to. Okay. What is better in terms of the ethics of giving? قَوْلٌ مَعْرُوفٌ وَمَغْفِرَةٌ خَيْرٌ مِّن صَدَقَةٍ يَتْبَعُهَا أَذًى. So what should you do as part of giving? Give a word of ma'ruf. Now ma'ruf we've defined a few ways over the past few weeks. Ma'ruf, the general translation would be kindness. Ma'ruf also translates as what is kindness according to your culture. Okay. This is what urf comes from. So meaning, when you are giving, what else should you say? Alhamdulillah, Jazakallah, may Allah reward you. Okay. Why is it important when you're giving to also say something nice? Sorry? Yeah, absolutely. That when you're giving, it can be embarrassing, to the person who's receiving. When you're giving, they might feel obligated to do something in return, and you have to make sure that they don't have that sense of obligation. Yeah. And so,
if you say I care about you, give it in person.
Ideal is that you give it in person. Sure.
I have a problem with giving to picture because when you know personally people that they need it, and a lot of times it goes to 80%.
Yeah, in terms of charities, you should definitely be vigilant. Some charities are notoriously bad for spending most of their income on overhead and such. But I mean, there's sites like Charity Navigator and such. If you're giving to someone who's going to distribute it, then you should make it clear whether it's sadaqah or zakat. If you're just giving to the person, it doesn't really matter. But if you're giving to someone who's going to be distributing your money, like you're giving it to the masjid, and they're going to distribute, then you have to tell them if it's sadaqah or zakat, right? Even like if it's sadaqat al-fitr, you also have to tell them that, right? But if it's the needy person, you don't have to tell them anything. Instead, you should say something pleasant, right? Forgiving is better than charity followed by causing hurt. Allah Ta'ala is independent. Why is it important to mention at the end of Ayah 263 that Allah is independent? He is ghani. A graceful word and forgiving is better than charity followed by causing hurt. Allah is ghani. He's all independent. Why is it important to mention this? What is the lesson? Yeah, he's not benefiting from it. I'm not doing him a favor. Right? If I don't give, Allah Ta'ala is not losing anything here. Go. So continuing the point of the ethics of giving. 264. And I think this is familiar for most of us. Do not nullify your acts of charity by boasting about it and causing hurt. Okay. I can cancel out all of my charity, all of my sadaqah, with my tongue. So think of how much effort it takes to give. Not that much effort, although it might hurt. But with my tongue, I can wipe it all out. And think of how easy it is with my tongue to say the wrong thing. The point we made some time ago is that if you look at all the attributes of nifaq, of hypocrisy, every single one connects to using your tongue the wrong way. Whether you're lying, whether you are being arrogant, you're sharing arrogance with your tongue, whether you're saying nasty things about other people, this is all acts of the tongue. And so my tongue can wipe out everything, all of my good. So what does it say here? What is that like? The one who spends wealth to show off before people and does not believe in the last day. So what is his example? A rock in which there is dust, and then a rain comes and wipes it off. Okay. In fact, this is Safwan. So this is not just a rock. This is a smooth rock, and there's dust on it, and the rain comes, wipes it off. Meaning, if I give charity and I show off, if I give charity and I use it against people. There's a funny story, and I think it's attributed to Shah Waliullah. I'd have to look it up, where someone was boasting, I give all of this wealth to Islamic in the way of Allah. No, this can't be Shah Waliullah. It has to be somebody recent. And I earn all my wealth from haram, and you guys in the masjid, you're all taking this. Okay. And then the person says, okay, that's okay, we're going to use your sadaqah for the bathrooms. Right. Yeah. Okay. So what is this saying then? They have no ability to gain anything out of what they have done, and Allah does not give guidance to those who disbelieve. So this is the wrong behavior. On the flip side, and then we'll stop here. Actually, we'll stop at 266. The example of those who spend their wealth to seek the pleasure of Allah and to help their own iman. It's like a garden on the ground, and a rain comes, and it produces twice as much. And even if a heavy rain does not come, even a slight drizzle is enough to nourish the whole thing. Okay. And we've all heard this many, many times. So what is the lesson to take from here? That one of the best things that I can do in my service to Allah is to give. Okay. In Surah Al-Munafiqun, giving fi sabilillah is also a cure for hypocrisy. And what is the word here? Infaq is a cure for nifaq. Okay. and giving to help my own iman. What is the analogy? That even a slight amount of water makes the garden grow. What does this mean? Even a slight amount of knowledge benefits me tremendously. That is the analogy, and Allah Ta'ala watches everything you do. Then finishing this up, would any of you wish to have a garden of dates and grapes with rivers flowing beneath it, in which there are all kinds of fruit for him, and then old age befalls him, and he has children who are weak, and then a whirlwind comes upon it with fire in it, and it is all burnt? This is how Allah Ta'ala makes the signs clear to you. Meaning, I should take my mal very, very seriously, and I should, as much as I can, give it fi sabilillah. Otherwise, what is the other option? That I'm holding on to it, I'm holding on to it, I'm holding on to it, and then I die. And I didn't get to benefit from it. So, one of the gifts that Allah Ta'ala has given me is time, is waqt. And there, it's constantly falling away. Right? I've been given life for this many thousand days, and each day is dropping one by one. Another gift that I've been given is mal. Good. Now, mal is not just cash, right? Mal is, even as we often say, a smile is also charity. So the point is that the benefit of giving of mal is, 1, I don't lose anything. 2, I will benefit, I will get more in return. 3, I will also get the benefit in the akhirah. Because my time will expire.
This receiving thing is make you feel like a person, like a man. You get a greeting card. If being niggardly or something, maybe the mind is the soul of the soul. The more you give, you can know what she has given or what you have opened your heart, your spirit grows stronger.
Mm-hmm.
So, by being charitable, you become stronger. Mm-hmm. You overcome the hurdles and the negative feelings and stuff like that.
Well, there was a study done by Harvard that came out just a couple of years ago, where they studied people all across different cultures, and they said that one thing they found in every culture is that people who give are happier. Right? People who give of their wealth are even physiologically even more happy. So, I'd say so. Okay, we will stop here, inshallah, and this is also our last class until January. Inshallah. Yeah, so long. And so we will finish Al-Baqarah, inshallah, next year. There's 20 ayahs left. So 2014, inshallah. 14th, it'll still be 1435. So we'll start from ayah 267, inshallah. Sorry? Yeah, we have to take, Milad al-Nabi of Isa alayhi salam off. I'm kidding. Okay. I'm sorry? You want me to answer this question right now? Okay. Yeah, we can have a whole conversation about that, inshallah. Yeah. Oh, it is? Is this soon? 13th of January. Okay, I didn't know this. Gee. Can you what the person? Sure. So the question for the people online is that when you're asking for a donation, can you twist the person's arm metaphorically? Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it should be done with politeness. If you start guilting everyone, maybe you'll get them for this dinner and then they won't show up for the next dinner, right? I mean, it has to be done and with proper technique. But everyone does that anyway, right? If you start showing all your statistics, then you're doing the same thing. If the person is giving fi sabilillah, they will not turn. Huh? Sure. Okay, then here's a question. The whole point is fi sabilillah, absolutely. So here's a question. We often speak that the best charity is what? When your left hand doesn't even know where the right hand's giving. Is there benefit if you publicize your charity? Here it says you can't boast. If you boast, you're going to wipe out the good. Can you still publicize your charity? Why? Yeah, absolutely. It'll encourage others. We have. Sorry?
I mean, secrecy are
Sure.
sirra wa alaniyatan. This is the Quran.
Yeah, and so we have the example from the Sahaba, right? That Omar, he announced he was going to beat Abu Bakr, and he gave up half his wealth. So we are told he gave us half his wealth, and we're told that Abu Bakr gave his whole wealth. There's this one dinner, actually not in Chicago, where for the first hour no one's giving anything. And then one of the wealthier members in the community gets fed up and says, okay, I'm giving $100,000. And then immediately 6 other people did the same thing, right? So if you're doing it to boast, that's one thing. If you're doing it to encourage, that's a completely different intention. Sorry? Yeah, it's a matter of attitude.
Then say to anybody, I have given this much, the kind of, like
Meaning, if it's not wrong if I tell people that I'm giving this money, right? As long as I'm not showing off. Yeah. If my attitude, if my attitude is to inspire other people, like the examples I just gave here.